MAGA Republicans have their forks and knives out for MAGA Mike Johnson, the current Speaker of the House. And one of their lines of attack on MAGA Mike Johnson, this is MAGA on MAGA violence here, folks, is they're saying that MAGA Mike Johnson is covering up a congressional sexual slush fund whereby members of Congress have paid off victims of sexual assault and sexual harassment, and specifically Republicans using this slush fund. And this comes in the wake of Marjorie Taylor Greene making comments about this as well. Will MAGA Mike survive this? And when I say they're attacking Republicans, and this is Republican on Republican with this slush fund, look what Marjorie Taylor Greene had said. She goes, "For my Republican colleagues in the House and Senate," she goes, "let's put it all out there for the American people to see. Yes, all the ethics reports and claims, including the one I filed." She's addressing this to Republicans. "All your sexual harassment and assault claims that were secretly settled paying off victims with taxpayer money. The entire Jeffrey Epstein files, tapes, recording, witness interviews. But not just those, there's more. Epstein isn't the only asset. If we're going to dance, let's all dance in the sunlight. For my Republican colleagues." All of the MAGAs on Trump's social media platform are making posts like this about MAGA Mike Johnson. Photos of him that say Democrats little bitch, traitor. It's not because they're weak. It's because they're compromised, missing Republican spines. Mike Johnson, pack your shit. Retruth if you agree. One of the MAGA Republicans leading the charge to get rid of MAGA Mike Johnson is Thomas Massie, a MAGA Republican, and he's saying, release that slush fund list. Release that slush fund list. One of the things, though, here as well is, where are the Democrats on this? Do you hear Democrats pounding the table and saying, yeah, release the list. Let's go after the MAGA Republicans. They're eating their own. Democrats are like shying away from all of these areas, both their accomplishments and the easiest ways to go after MAGA Republicans. In any event, Jake Sherman, who covers the Capitol Hill closely, he says this is a very daunting situation now for MAGA Mike Johnson, as more MAGA Republicans are coming out as saying they're either not supporting MAGA Mike Johnson or they are undecided. As Haley Talbot on CNN writes, razor-tight margins for Speaker Johnson on January 3rd. That's when the leadership vote is set to take place. You have Thomas Massie as a no. Victoria Spars is making demands. A dozen or so still publicly undecided. And you look at all of these people who may turn against MAGA Mike Johnson. Now, Donald Trump's not really helping MAGA Mike Johnson. On the one hand, you have Donald Trump seemingly saying that he supports Mike Johnson. It's like kind of this incoherent mess of a message right here with all caps. And eventually when you look at the very bottom of it, it says Mike has my total endorsement, MAGA exclamation point. But then he made other posts where he's been very critical that MAGA Mike has not removed the debt ceiling. And that Republicans refuse to get rid of the debt ceiling because Trump wants to implement his Project 2025 agenda, and that's going to increase our deficit massively. Economists predicted that Trump would add about $5 to $15 trillion to our debt. He previously caused about $8 trillion of debt to be increased in Trump administration 1. My view is it's probably going to be closer to 25 to 30 trillion, just my opinion, because I think Trump's going to cause a lot more debt to be incurred. That's just what he's always done historically with his businesses. So I think he's going to do that. But he seemed to be critical of MAGA Mike there, and Republicans keep getting in their own way. Now, the question becomes, what happens on January 3rd if the MAGA Republicans don't pick a speaker. Is that now going to delay the certification on January 6th? Could you imagine these MAGA Republicans getting in their own way and causing a delay in the certification of Trump as a result of doing this? Meanwhile, MAGA Republican Thomas Massie, he's out there. Look at this poll that he's running. On January 3rd, we will elect a Speaker of the House. Should members vote for Mike Johnson or someone else? About 180,000 votes. 93% say that Congress or Republicans should pick a different leader. Now, granted, this is an X or formerly Twitter poll, but that's the MAGA base. Like the core base are those people right now. So the question ultimately is what are they going to do? Now, you have people like Tim Burchett, MAGA Republican from Tennessee. He's supporting MAGA Mike Johnson. Apparently, he says because MAGA Mike Johnson doesn't cheat on his wife, and I find that very appealing. So the standards now by MAGA Republicans are you should become the speaker if you just don't cheat on your wife. That's the standard. Okay, but your leader is been found liable for sexual assault, cheated on his wife, but no. The whole thing here is the sexual harassment slush fund that MAGA Mike's covering up. MAGA Mike covered up the credible findings by the House Ethics Committee that Matt Gaetz engaged in statutory rape, but Matt Gaetz, you believe, never cheated on his wife, so that's why he should be the Speaker of the House. Folks, this is the status of the MAGA Republicans in 2025. Here, play this clip.
Mike's been a good friend to me, and there's nobody more honest that I've ever dealt with in Washington. He is a fine Christian man. He's not a religious man. He's a Christian man, and he doesn't cheat on his wife, and I find that very appealing in Washington, D.C.
That's good. So let's look.
And if you want to have a sense of these lemmings that are the MAGA Republicans, this is MAGA Republican Representative Jeff Van Drew, who says that he supports Mike Johnson, but if Trump tells him not to, that will change his mind. But then he says he's a very independent person. Come on, these people are pathetic. Here, play this clip.
Is supporting the speaker.
I am supporting the speaker. And let me say, if, I hear from President Trump, who I do speak with relatively regularly, and I have a relationship with him to the contrary, that would change my mind. Let me say this. I'm a very independent person, so I get it. I get it. Members of Congress want to express their individual viewpoint. We're a co-equal branch of government, et cetera, et cetera. But there was a mandate from the people of the United States of America in both the popular vote and the electoral vote to make change. Now,
let me leave you with this thought, folks. Let me leave you with this thought. Where are the Democrats right now? Where are you? Where are you, Dems? Where are you? Well, you should be in factories, shaking people's hands. You should be with firefighters. You should be with first responders. You should be with workers. You should be out there every day, showing, not just talking on the House floor, what the Democratic agenda is. Positive messaging, Inflation Reduction Act, Infrastructure Act, CHIPS Act. You've created 16.2 million jobs. You've lowered prescription drug prices. You need to go out there and brag about your accomplishments. Where are you? I don't hear you bragging about your accomplishments. Okay. And then you also, it's not even going negative. Republicans are going negative on themselves, Dems. You got to go and take what they're giving you. They're giving you gifts. Take it and tell the American people what's going on, what MAGA Mike is covering up, how he's turned the Congress, how the Republicans, how MAGA has turned Congress into basically a gigantic trafficking ring or a cover-up of trafficking. Use the language. Don't shy away from it. Talk about what's happening, because the Republic, you heard what Marjorie Taylor Greene, they're saying it. They're giving you layups. So take their layups and slam dunk it. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 4 million subscribers.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Meidas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.